Hey, everybody.
How's it going? Thank you guys for having us. Mic on.
Mic
You guys
on.
hear me?
Yeah, that
Hey
name.
guys.
Hey, Cookie.
All right, we are the song that owns itself. Before we get into our presentation, we have a little surprise along the way, so be sure to download the Algrand wallet so you can go to this QR code on either side of us. We kind of have a present for you guys later. Make sure you create an account. So yeah, something exciting is coming. So a little bit about us. Hi, everyone. My name is Maria Tangarova. So I started my career out in the music industry. I come from a fourth-gen family of classical musicians. Started out doing a couple of things. Went to the Recording Academy, made my way to Capitol Music Group, and now I'm a Web3 VC at Chapter One.
Hooray. I'm Aubrey. I'm a nerd. um, I'm currently the CTO at the New Computer Corporation, which is one of the founding sponsors of the song that owns itself. And I built and code and have a dev team and am a bona fide nerd. But also, I was a touring musician for 15 years. So when it comes to this project, it's particularly resonant with me.
So it's no secret that today's creator-consumer dynamic is really unfair, under-monetized, and unsustainable, and we really kind of lost control, and that's simply because artists are creating for communities that are not designed to sustainably support them. So if we take a look at the trifecta of the current music industry, you have centralized hierarchies, thinking about record labels, how they're structured, so usually the big guys are at the top beating up the little fish. Limited fan participation, so usually the artist-fan dynamic is super one-sided. And then you have inequitable profit sharing, so the infamous 360 deals that leave artists really out of pocket. So STOZY solves this problem. Aubrey will kind of get into this a little bit later, but we actually wrote a white paper. Within the white paper, we touched on these 8 key problems that STOZY solves. We kind of have 2 favorites that we want to touch on. This will be up on stozy.org, so you guys will be able to kind of reference it. You can also take a picture of it if you'd like. But starting off with NPS, so think of this as like word of mouth. Each song will actually be able to reward anyone who helps it achieve its purpose, and its purpose is to basically spread the word and get everybody to listen to it. If you spread the word, then it will reward you and kind of create a cool feedback loop. Another one is moral rights. So the contract law will actually enforce the smart contract as opposed to having statutory and governmental interventions. So these are kind of the few things we've identified. Again, this will be available on our website. So by definition, what the heck is stozy.org? Stozy.org is a micro DAO, we call it kind of an MDAO for short, creation tool with robust transaction support and membership tokens. So TLDR, any creator can seamlessly create micro DAOs as an on-chain smart contract, tokenize, engage, and activate their community, and then seamlessly reward their supporters, essentially at the click of a button on stozy.org. So ideally, any collaborative project can be a STOZY. We are just starting with music.
So the project that is at stozy.org, or has been up until today, grew out of a series of conversations we had with George Howard, who is one of our advisors, about just the problems that he's seen in the music industry over the last 20-some years. He founded TuneCore, and so he's goes way back with trying to solve this problem. And he's had this bug about well, could media be self-hosting or self-owned? And what would that look like with the assistance of blockchain technology and the concept of the DAO? We thought oh, that might actually be realistic now, maybe for the first time ever. So last summer, we all kind of went into DevLand and we wrote the white paper to try to outline what the aspects of this monster might be. But we also built a proof of concept that ran on Ethereum, and the band Superposition, who are Grammy-nominated, just amazing musicians and crypto nerds, and they attached themselves to the project and created a song for us. And we collaborated with them during the song creation process, with their management, with their team of people who recorded, produced the song, the assets, and all that stuff. And it was a really unique opportunity to take everybody's concerns into account. And it wasn't just another case of kind of technology people trying to imagine what creative people are gonna need, building some form of that, and then being like, what do you think? So it was a highly collaborative and really energizing process. The result, I don't know if you saw, some of you probably did, it launched back in July. And it was an interactive experience that you could ask the song what it wanted. We filled out GPT-3 with a bunch of concerns of the song, and you could interact with the song, talk to it, find out what its concerns were and what its interests were. And if you unlocked all those things, it would give you participation in the DAO as a reward in the form of a token, like a token drop essentially, that you could bring over to yourself. It was really fun, and people far outlasted the attention span that we expected they would pay to it. Many people spend hours just hassling the song about like whether it liked James Brown, all kinds of stuff. Also, it's an exciting day today because that story that launched back then is live today on Foundation as an NFT. So this is our first experiment. Everything about The Song That Owns Itself is kind of an experiment, but today we're seeing what it would be like to like move through that whole life cycle all the way to the point where you launch as an NFT the song. There's amazing creative attached to the NFT as well. It's really, really cool. Go check it out and like be part of history. It's major. And overall, that experience was a huge success. It far outpaced what we expected from the proof of concept. And I lost my mic. Oh, there it is. Hey, it's got to be plugged in. But through the experiment, we also learned a ton about this ecosystem and the requirements to actually do this at any kind of scale. We ran into some, like 3 really core problems that have been very hard to solve. The first one we're all super familiar with, which is just transactional cost and unpredictability, and basically the gas fees associated with doing not only token movement, but just simple calls to smart contracts are getting progressively more and more expensive. It's really painful for anybody who's been building complex applications. We also found that with a broad, the token distribution for STOZY #1, it was hundreds of people that are members of that DAO. And we find that at the lower levels of token ownership, there's a point where we just can't pay people what they're owed. So the song moves money through or moves value through, and ideally it would get evenly distributed based on all the token holders. But there's these lots of thresholds where you're like, well, I can't really send you $40 in ETH because it's going to cost me $45 to do that. There's lots of people working on solutions, lots of people in this room probably working on solutions to that problem on the Ethereum network. But for us, like the scaling, it kind of is not sustainable. And you know, we're also dealing with artists who are sensitive to the environmental footprint of the content that they're creating, and how that manifests digitally, and the overall cost of the work. People used to stress out about vinyl. I'm old enough to think about like, oh, you know, the environmental repercussions of vinyl. We're in a whole another category with blockchain. We're looking at the research around Web3 at the same time, and as an outgrowth of this project, we've made lots of friends and interesting introductions. Our friends at Water and Music did this study in December about, you know, how's Web3 going and what do fans want? And we found this kind of eerie lineup with what fans want and the problems that we hit. Fans basically are concerned, number 1, about environmental impact. This, I think, is a real surprise for a lot of people working in Web3 space. They're like, yeah, it's just one of those things, we'll figure it out later. But no, from the fan perspective, we got to figure it out right now. Cost fluctuation and the sort of tentative nature of the transactions, also very stressful for people, just regular people. If you're not crypto native, and things cost $20 one day and $60 another day, and you can't really parse why, it's very off-putting. On-ramps, utility, all super, super important to people. And so we thought long and hard about how to deal with this and what to do, and we tried the type of transactions that we need to perform on a bunch of different networks, did a ton of research, and we ended up here. Algrand is a reasonably new network, and it's unique in a bunch of different ways. And when we moved the runtime for the song that owns itself over to Algrand, everything just worked and was fast, and we were like, oh man, this is amazing. And over the implementation of the last 6 months, it's gotten more satisfying and more amazing. So that's a pretty good trend as a nerd. Today, STOZY.org is live on the Algrand network, and the results of this heavy lift to port from Ethereum over there are bearing fruit. So we picked Algrand both because it had alignment with what we were hearing from the fans and the end users and the participants, what we were hearing from the musicians, and what Algrand themselves have been talking about for the last year and change, which is in a proof of stake concept, you should be able to have stable and extremely low transactional overhead. For end users, this translates to like, it's always 0.001 algo to transact, no matter what I do. It's huge. It's like predictable, constant, easy peasy. They have a commitment to carbon responsibility that, at least in my opinion, is second to none. It's amazing. It's built into the chain from the lowest possible level. And we were like, are you really doing this? And the answer is yes, it's amazing. It's purpose-built to be carbon responsible. They're carbon neutral today. And the general education and utility boxes are also ticked for us, where the on-ramps into Algorand transactions are very easy. There's a mobile app, which looks like a mobile app. The crypto parts feel transactional, but they don't feel scary, which for regular people is major.
All right, so we're bringing it back. Wasn't this about the music?
And that's the end of the nerd part of the show.
Bringing it back to the music part, we're so excited because today we are actually dropping STOZY #2 with incredible artist Jesse Boykins III. He is a Web3 trailblazer. Yes, we got some people that know him. Trailblazer, total world soul artist. The track is titled Honestly, I'm a Treat. It's about knowing who you are and sticking by that. We're super honored that Jesse chose us to roll out this project. So this is Jesse, and we're super thankful that he chose STOZY to roll STOZY #2 out with. So exciting follow-up to that, you can actually be part of Jesse's micro DAO. So you can have skin in the game if you claim some STOZY #2 tokens by going to this QR code and get the full experience. So I see some people taking out their phones. We're going to leave it up here for 5 seconds.
Yeah, let it hang out.
And we'll have it up at the end as well. But this is just amazing that we're doing this today. And we're very excited to be rolling out STOZY #2 today. All right.
Dun, 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 dun. When we launched STOZY #1, and when we go to events and talk to people, we hear like, oh, this is good, this is compelling, I like the microdAO concept, I want to participate, I want to make one. And we were like, oh, okay, because we kind of envisioned this as a curated process. But there's a real demand for self-service. So we put a little info at STOZY.org email address when we launched, and there are hundreds of inquiries where when and how can I make one? So today you can. At STOZY.org, you can drop into the process to create your own microDAO for music, for a farmer's market, for like anything you want. It's a grand experiment, and we want to see what everybody does, and we're also here to help you along the way. It's new tech, it's new concept, but we hope that you will all go and make them and experiment and like get on the train.
So one STOWY at a time. Let's take back control. Thank you guys so much. We are STOWY.org. Thanks.